right, this beast is the Kemper Stage. Big thanks to Tyler for letting me borrow it. I should start by saying two things. Two things. One, I am an amp and pedals guy. That's most of what I've played, and so that was part of why I was interested in borrowing this, is because I wanted to kind of get my head in it and kind of see if I could, what kind of sounds I could get out of it, spending some time with it. And then, so that's one thing. I'm probably a little biased one way or another, but I'm kind of approaching it with that mindset, and I acknowledge that that's not, I mean, it does way more than that. And then secondly, there's no way I can come even close to touching all the things that this can do in 5 minutes, because in case you're wondering, this is the same thing as their little head toaster looking model where you can profile an amp. You can basically make a digital representation of your amp or any amp you want. And then you can switch basically between as many kind of profiles of amps as you want at the touch of a button, which is really powerful. And so rather than, kind of using pedals to shape your sound, you can use different amp models to shape your sound. And you could play live by mixing amps instead of mixing pedals, which is kind of crazy. But then you can also add effects on top of that. You can play and practice directly or silently or whatever. This is kind of just the version that acts like a pedal board and sits on the floor and functions that way. So it's got a looper, it's got a tuner, it's got a million different preset things in it. You can set up songs or performances. Again, I can't come close to even touching all the things that it can do, but I want to give you an idea and just some sounds. So I like a clean guitar sound, like a clean amp. And so I just went through the different kind of amp models and found one that was a pretty good clean starting point, and just kind of tweaked it a little bit from there. And then I'll just show you some of the stuff it can do and some of the sounds. So here's kind of the base no effect amp clean platform. It's a pretty good clean sound. It's interesting, you can add, this is the gain all the way off on this patch, and you can add gain to it. It's kind of like edge of breakup-ish. You can hear it kind of come alive as you dig into it. So that's that. All that can be done. And then there's, all sorts of effects built into it. I'm running this out stereo into my interface. And so you'll get a little bit of stereo field type stuff, like when we add a light reverb, for example. Yeah, it kind of widens it up. If you have headphones on, you'll really be able to tell. Made kind of a washy reverb. Nice long decay kind of thing. Got a delay in here. One thing I will say, as far as the delay goes, there's a ton of options for like subdivisions and like time and stuff. Like you can actually get kind of quad delays going where there's so many different complexities and interactions, which is really cool. It's like more than most delay pedals can do. It does only seem to have one like engine. It's kind of just like a digital delay, at least from what I've seen so far. Like you can add some modulation to it, but it kind of behaves the way it behaves. There are tons of ways to tweak it, but that's worth pointing out. And then they have somewhat recently, at least as of making this, added some kind of extra drive sounds to kind of simulate some common drive pedals and stuff. And so I wanted to do some of that too, just to show you. What's interesting is that I when I play with amps and drive pedals, I'll use my volume knob a lot, and it still responds to volume knob changes, which is fairly impressive. It's definitely not the same, but it's close and a little more drive. A little more. And then you've even got kind of, obviously you can use any of them in conjunction with each other. Then you've got, you know, all sorts of, I mean, every other kind of modulation effect. You got like octaves. And then you can, with any effect, you can, there's this whole edit menu where you can kind of go and select all kinds of stuff. You got like phasers and... You got some flangers. And you got your chorus. There's a vintage chorus that was pretty cool. All kinds of like compressors, whatever. And then there's all kinds of, let's see, there's almost like fuzz type sounds also. Anyway, you kind of get the idea with all that stuff. There is definitely a learning curve with this in terms of figuring out like kind of how everything works. But just to give you like, because you know I have this kind of clean profile going. I can go down to one of these others. It's very different sounding. It's another kind of clean. Kind of an AC30 vibe. So you get the idea. Really, the sky is the limit as far as, at least as far as models go. There's a million people's takes on models. There's a million, or profiles, sorry. Profiling is wrong. There's a million takes on different amps. Even the way somebody profiles their own amp is based on kind of how they have it set up. But you can approach it like a bunch of different amps, or you can approach it like kind of a standard replacement for just a pedal and amp setup. Like you can just kind of pick an amp model that you like, and then you can either adjust all the parameters or you can add like pedal effects on top of it. You can assign all sorts of like presets and easy access to stuff. The whole unit is pretty small. I don't know the exact dimensions, but it's like a pretty smallish pedal board, and it's kind of all in one, which is the convenience of it is inescapable. So yeah, there's that's more than 5 minutes, of course, but that kind of gives you a general overview of what the old Kemper Stage is about and a couple sounds out of it. So hopefully that's helpful. See ya.